Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's me. It's your old buddy Bill. I'm back. Didn't go anywhere. The Wicked Theory Podcast, live and in effect for your listening pleasure. Man, I hope it's pleasure. I hope it's pleasureful. Got some stuff in store for you. Gonna get some official business out of the way. Then I have a friend who may or may not be in the room. We'll get to that, and we're gonna talk Avengers stuff. But I feel obligated though to get some official business off my chest. If you're a regular listener, you might have thought that I was done, that I was finished, that I was kaputskis, that I was never coming back. But I'm here. Damn it, you can't have it. You can't win it all, folks. I'm sorry, but I have returned. This is going to be the first episode back. This is 201. It's kind of like, it's a new thing. It's a new format. It's a new angle. That's the official business I want to talk about. Moving forward, Wicked Theory is kind of going to be less often, but more focused. That's kind of the plan. It's going to be a thing where maybe it'll just be me and only one or two other people, but we'll kind of just be isolating and talking about one thing. Maybe it'll be movie reviews for current stuff like we're doing today, or it'll be like some show that I'm digging on that I got to talk about this with somebody, and I'll find somebody else who's into it, and we'll sit down and we'll do it. It's going to be a little bit more focused, not as random and crazy. I hope people learn to love it. So outside of that, it's going to be once or twice a month for now. I don't want to lock anything in and say, it's definitely twice a month bi-weekly. I'm not sure. But I am just going to put that out there, that at least once a month. And other than that, you can also now find me on WCBJ Radio. That's back. That's the podcast for my local comic shop, Comic Book Jones. It's me, Sacco Jones, his staff members, Gore and Flair. That's not their birth names. No, it's nicknames. You can listen to that show and get into that and why that is. And that should have a new episode up, I think, by the time this is up. So if you're looking for more of me, that's where I am. And that's a bi-weekly, twice a monthy kind of situation over there, life permitting, and whether or not I get a call all of a sudden like, hey, we're not doing the show this week. But yeah, WCBJ Radio, the Comic Book Jones podcast. We brought that back. It was an amazing fluke of timing where I was just gonna kind of do this once in a while, and then Sacco called me up. He's like, I'm ready to go, ready to bring it back, man. And that was gonna be once in a while. So if it works out, I can alternate the two. We'll see. I recently told Sacco I've learned as an adult I can only spin so many plates. And even then, not that great at it. Not that great at spinning plates. So if you want to hear more about the inside of my mind and what this whole thing is, I recently put up a episode on our Patreon, where if you're already kind of supporting us over there, it's an episode that's available to all tier levels. So as long as you're kind of supporting for $1 at least, you can hear it. And because that was a little bit of like housekeeping, so I felt like that was a thing that I should make available to everybody, even though I was kind of overdue for a $3 tier episode. I just kind of felt like, let's make it an official thing where everybody can kind of hear my mental problems. Because why not? All right, fine. I don't need an answer for that, I guess, is the situation. I don't know if there's a little bit of hum coming through the line, but there is. Sorry about that. You'll have to deal with it. I thought this mic was off. I don't know why that would. Oh, it's just a table. The table's got resonance. That's why I always hated this table. I forgot. Ladies and gentlemen, as I sit here, there is a quiet individual sitting across from me, being very patient. It might be in the description. You might already know who it is. What happened? What's going on? There he is. Wow. Did you just see a movie that put you to sleep? Or no? Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be me and Ed hanging out, talking Avengers Endgame. We are going to jump right into it. We both loved it. That's the official non-spoiler review. Well, we enjoyed ourselves.
I think I need to lie down.
Thinking it was it too much? Was it too intense?
It was a lot.
It was a lot.
It was a lot.
It was a 3-hour fucking.
It was a lot.
Man, you know.
Man.
I'll tell you the one thing we learned is that like why sometimes this is the only these Marvel movies, like they're the only movies that I feel like I don't feel the time, like I do with other movies. You know, so like when you hear studios say, "Oh, we're gonna split it in half" or something like that, or Tarantino with Kill Bill. I was about to say Quill Bill, which is a very different movie. Why he split that in half or whatnot? You know, you just always think, "Wow, 3 hours is gonna be a long time to sit there in one spot." I don't know, man. This one cooks, goes by pretty quick.
Yeah, I tell you, it's much the DC universe is never gonna be the same.
Well, since you dropped it in there, Edward O'Hare, he's host of the DC TV podcast now. You know, once in a while.
DC Reports, the DC TV Report.
Is it DC? I've never heard of it before. What is it again?
The DC TV Report.
And on that show, you guys do what?
Thank you, Mr. Executive Producer.
You'd have to listen to the end of the DC TV Report to even know that. But why don't you give it the quick, broad stroke on what goes on your show?
Sarah Netzley and I do recaps, news, and commentary for all live-action television shows based on DC Comics.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And,
It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Yeah, and, you know, if we get our schedules correct this week.
Weather permitting.
And, you know, weather permitting, you know, if evidently, you know, with, you know, people dying and you know,
like real people
in plays. You know, there's a play I'm supposed to go to.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, because I made some fun of somebody incessantly for mounting a theatrical production the same weekend as Avengers Endgame and the NFL Draft. Like, there's no one left to go see your little play.
But
so I feel really bad, and I feel like I should probably.
Well, I'm not a sports guy. Is the NFL draft over or done with, or is that like all weekend long?
The first round happened last night.
How many rounds?
There are 6.
That's way too many.
It's actually not enough.
Well, here's the thing. Did it used to be less?
You know, it used to be like, well, I mean, it used to be like 13, and they whittled it down to 7, and then a couple of years ago it became 6.
Oh, wow.
But round 1 was last night.
Okay.
And we got rounds 2 and 3 tonight.
Oh, okay.
And then 4, 5, and 6 on Saturday.
So, I guess, are you going to go to see your friends play? Or you're not sure yet? Is that tonight or tomorrow?
It could be either one.
Oh, okay, he's got 2 showings going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Well, I missed last night, and then I don't want to go to a Sunday matinee.
Well, here's a question, and because that's thumping a little bit. Use this for the coaster.
You might like it. It's called The Fantastics.
I was telling you, I have seen The Fantastics. Yes. I was 10 years old. Yes. I remember it vaguely. Yes. I was 10. That might explain why I don't remember it like in a positive light.
Yeah.
I believe good fences make good neighbors.
Yeah.
Is the through line.
Yeah. And evidently, no one's wearing bright blue.
Yeah.
And the tall guy refused to paint his skin orange. So, like, there's nothing.
There's nothing for you. Yeah. It's like, it's not as fantastic as you made it sound to me.
No. I thought, yeah, that's how you trick people.
That's how you get them to show up.
Yeah.
Makes sense to me. That would be how it is.
Yeah.
You know, I would think the same thing.
So, yeah.
You can't call it that.
I really need to see that show. But anyway, if Sarah and I do get our schedule straight, hopefully Sunday morning, you'll have an episode. You'll be able to hear us cover the series finale of Gotham. Which aired last night.
That's right.
We finally got to see Batman.
I have to catch up on that myself.
Oh, we're gonna watch it as soon as it's over.
Boy.
After I watch Doom Patrol.
What are we gonna do? Crowd around my computer?
Yeah. What, this thing doesn't work?
Oh, it works. Oh, you could probably sling something to that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've never really watched anything on that. I'd have to set it up kind of a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not those services. You know what I mean? Unless you want to log into your DC.
It's not part of PlayStation?
No, I never downloaded the DC Universe app.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? I'm finding it through nefarious means. You know, I know. Judgment. I'm getting the look of judgment. I know. I was a very good boy for years.
Well, it's not
too.
that you're doing it; it's that you're admitting it on air.
Yeah.
So, like,
Oh, is that the thing?
Yeah, because
Don't do that. That's even more dumb.
Well, no, because now the feds have proof.
That's true. But I could be lying. This could all be for show.
You're meant to say, "I would never do that."
With that inflection?
Yes.
I would never.
I would never.
Sir, I am offended
Yes.
that you even thought for a moment that I might.
That's always there's a poster of Raging Bull right behind you.
Right.
Did you sleep with her? Why would you ask me that?
And it's
Why would you ask me that?
That's that kind of question where it's like if you were my boy, this is a brief tangent. But if you were my boy, and I thought for a second that you sleep with my girl, and your answer's not no, you know what I mean? Nothing else.
Why would you ask me that?
Yeah. That means you did. That means you did. You know what I mean? It's like when people asked Ricky Martin if he was gay, and he was like, I don't like to answer that question. If you were straight, you'd be like, no. Like, you know what I mean? Anyway, it's not about Ricky Martin, folks. Let's get into it, Ed.
All right.
Let's talk about Avengers Endgame.
Yes.
The movie that ended all the games.
Can I get a spoilers?
You need a little spoiler sound effect here? We can do that.
Warning, spoilers ahead.
That's it. We're in official... You've been warned. We're in official spoiler territory. So go away, go listen to something else if you don't want to hear about the many ways that people who were dead came back.
Yes.
And not as zombies.
So, all right.
That's the only thing this movie didn't have was a zombie.
No zombies.
No zombies.
Yeah, I guess they're leaving that for Game of Thrones.
There you go. They've kind of cornered the market.
Yeah. Yeah, so, wow.
Yeah.
3...
It was good. Are we done?
4 big deaths, I think.
Yeah. Seems that way. Or at the very least, the door is open on a couple of people.
Yeah.
Maybe even all of them.
Actually, one of them's not a death, but exits. That's what I'll say for now.
Yeah, that's true.
4
that's
big
true.
exits.
So let's rattle them off. Save the big one for last, but what do we got?
Yeah, so Black Widow sacrificed herself for the Soul Gem. You know, and I thought it was interesting they've intentionally not given her any attachments for the sole purpose so that she could give Clint his family back.
Right. That
see how I took that thing you're complaining about in the car and
made it yours, you fucking scumbag.
No, it made it a positive.
Made it a positive, like, because my angle in the car was that on the car ride, because we went and saw it together, and we just got back to my place to record. So my angle on the whole thing was that I kind of like, well, she's the only one you can sacrifice because she's the one with the least going on. She's got no family, boyfriend, backstory that we've ever seen, least amount of attachments, and so it sucks that like, the one female on the team is the one who like does the big sacrifice thing.
But she's the one getting a solo movie next year.
Yeah, well, I guess from the cold case files.
Yeah.
Of if that movie starts up with someone lamenting her death and pulls out like an old folder and we just go into flashback for the whole movie, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
But it'd be a weird bookend. Just like, this character's dead. Let's talk about what they used to do.
Yeah.
So that's a character that now doesn't seem like there's a particular way for her to come back, but it's comic books and sci-fi, so let's not rule it out, I guess.
Yeah. Then next one I think to talk about is Gamora.
Gamora.
Yeah. No, Gamora, come back.
Gamora.
No,
Gamora.
No, Gamora.
So just gonna cross over all the movies now.
So she's actually been like double exited.
Yeah.
Because
they can't get rid of her enough.
Because Thanos sacrificed her to get the soul stone.
Right.
And
in Infinity War, in the first half.
Yeah, that was the Infinity. I will say that's the Infinity War version of her.
Sure.
Then we have the alt 2014 version of Gamora.
Right.
Where that Thanos brought her to Endgame's present.
Yeah. Which was an interesting play. I thought for a while we were gonna have her around as just like, oh, Gamora's back.
And we see Quill finding her and then getting punched in the nuts.
Right, so he gets to like see her for 3 seconds.
Yeah.
I think that's about right.
Yeah, he
right?
sees her and then like goes to kiss her, and then she kicks him once and evidently misses, and then the second time she gets both nuts.
Which, if I remember, is an echo of when he first met her, right?
Yeah.
Like it kind of went down the same way, very similarly, where like, he kind of is like, "Oh, hey, hot chick,"
Yeah.
and she kind of like punches him or throws him or something.
Well, and-
oh no, they were on that planet surface, right?
Well, there was the scene on Nowhere
Yeah.
where he tells her the Kevin Bacon story, and then she calls him out. I'm not gonna fall for this pelvic sorcery.
This pelvic sorcery.
Yes.
Right?
See, this is why it helps to rewatch.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, so let's clarify that. You did some rewatching recently,
Yes.
and I did not.
I rewatched last year. I rewatched everything.
Right.
This year I rewatched with commentary tracks for everything that was available. But so I got to hear James Gunn talk about that scene. And yeah, and that was, but so Gamora's, so that version of Gamora, when Tony got the stones, and snapped, got rid of all of Thanos' people that he had brought from 2014.
This is in the big conclusion parts. This is the Tony snap.
Yes,
Right.
yeah. So in the Tony snap that included Thanos, he supposedly also took the Nebula that had already been killed,
Right.
that Gamora had killed. I'm sorry, that the 2014 Nebula that the present Nebula killed.
The second Nebula.
Yeah, the second Nebula probably went to dust. Well,
yeah.
remember, it's the same Nebula in 2 different times. This is why this is
But
confusing.
here's a
And then
okay.
and then also took away Gamora because she was technically from that side still.
I think I just found another issue. Okay, because they go out of their way to return all the stones that they pluck out of different time periods.
Yes.
But the Gamora and the Nebula from their time periods, right, end up dying in our present.
Yes.
So they're never replaced in their time. So it's important enough to put the stones back so the timeline can follow itself through, but we took 2 people out of it who are principal characters, Gamora especially, from points of time before they did those very important things and never went back. So if it was so important for the stones to go back, wouldn't it be really important for those people to go back? Just thought about that now.
This is again that whole scene where Professor Hulk is explaining you can't go by the movies because what's their past, your past is now your present.
Is he also saying that since
their future is your past?
Since we can't go by movies, we can't even go by this movie? Is that how meta it gets? Because they set up a rule that we have to replace these things.
Yes, yeah, and there's something else that I will get to after we go through.
But this new point, you see what I'm saying? Am I following a certain kind of logic?
I
that
understand.
Makes sense?
It does.
But there's an out for that, is what you're saying, or no?
Well,
or am I just finding a loophole now?
No. You're I think that is a legitimate loophole.
All right, I win.
There we go.
I fucking won this whole episode.
I mean, I didn't realize we were competing.
Well, there's a bell on the table, so I guess so. I don't know. I felt like there was something. It's the time travel stuff. Like I will always, my brain wants to dissect it and pick it apart. Anything.
It always gets a little wonky.
Except Primer and Looper, where I was like, all right, I can't.
Hang on.
Hang on. Tangent time.
Hang on.
Looper, I followed.
Okay, Primer. Be honest.
Yeah.
How many times you watched that movie?
Just once.
No, fuck you. Fuck you.
You need to watch it 5 times in a row.
You didn't get it.
Right. But I knew that I was supposed to turn it back on.
And I know you're lying now because that movie's all about math.
Well, that's why I didn't bother watching it a second time, because of the no math rule, which is like, it's like I come out of Primer thinking I get what you're doing.
Yeah.
I see what you want me to do. Fuck you, I won't do it. I'm principled.
Because I will tell you what I've learned. The way to understand time travel or movie time travel,
right?
You really need a good grasp on geometry and trigonometry. So if you had problems
well, at the very least, I know that I need a dry erase board.
Yeah.
For that shit, and like time.
Yeah.
my own amount of time to process it out at my own speed.
Yeah. So if you had problems with math in sophomore year of high school, this is.
Well, didn't go to sophomore year, so why they still give you math in sophomore year? You're not done with it by then?
Yes.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I wouldn't know.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get back into the.
All right.
Let's get off this tangent. This timeline.
Okay. So, Gamora is unaccounted for.
Right, at the
She
end of the
wasn't there after the snap. We see, Quill has her face on a screen. It looks like there's some kind of search going on, and there's still no results. They can't
Right.
find a trace of her anywhere in the galaxy.
Right. Her and Dude Thor.
Yeah, we did not see her turn to dust, but the assumption is that she might have.
Can we talk about the big Thorbowski?
Well, okay. Well, first off, we're going through the 4 people who made exits.
All right, we got a couple more to go
Yes.
to. I'm sorry.
The next exit, I think, would be the person who did that snap, Tony Stark, because he's only a human being and was dealing with stuff that was way more than his body could handle.
Sure.
He ended up sacrificing himself.
Right. Yeah.
We see, even at the funeral, Hulk is still recovering.
Trying to figure out what this. I hear a hum. I'm just trying to figure out if it's really just in our headphones or if it's going to be in the mix. Anyway, sorry. But yeah, Tony.
Tony valiantly sacrifices himself, and the thing that's really odd is that shot of him is so close to the first Avengers when Hulk catches him and they have him down on the slab.
Oh yeah.
And he pulls his face mask off after he's just gone into space and threw the nuke out.
Right.
And there's that moment where he's not doing anything, and then Hulk screams, and then Tony jumps up,
Right.
and asks for shawarma.
Right.
There's a moment where you think, like,
Shawarma?
is he gonna ask for shawarma?
Yeah.
Like, is he just pulling their legs? And then you realize at a certain point, like, no.
Yeah. I wonder if that was if that was in there at any point. At least during, maybe cut out of an edit or cut out of a script version,
It's an outtake.
It's definitely a
conversation.
It was definitely a conversation.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
should he say shawarma?
Yeah, and
Have some shawarma for me, guys.
And I think the important part is he might have done that to like Cap and Thor.
Right, someone who was definitely in on the joke.
Cap, Thor, and Hulk.
You think dying Tony scanned the room and was like, I don't have any recurring jokes for any of you guys. I don't know. No callbacks.
No. Well, I think they were there. I think he might have done that for them, but I don't think he
in the moment
he would not have done that to Pepper. I don't think.
Did you feel like, at that point, it's like, damn it, the cubes are right, the gems are right there. We can undo Tony dying as well.
Yeah.
It's that thing too. It's like, you didn't have to let him die. You didn't have to let him die.
Well, no, because the only one who can handle that is Hulk, and he's already so bruised.
Right.
Like they established, like, you need to be really powerful.
Yes. Right.
To handle it.
Right.
And
right.
And Hulk's lucky that he survived, so he could not do it a second time.
And I think it's kind of implied that, like, even the Stark glove technology was having a hard time, like, controlling it all. The whole thing was kind of like a ticking time bomb on a hand a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
And then it takes a bunch of hits during the battle. The glove drops and this, that, the other thing. So it did feel like a thing where, like, I was waiting for the thing to, like, fizzle out completely. I thought that might be a thing we were going to see. But I don't know. I kind of felt like it was a little bit of a, like, we just want to kind of kill him off, and we're going to ignore the fact that we could just as easily bring him back if we wanted to. I thought maybe someone was going to do that. I thought maybe, at the very least, someone was going to say something about it or do something. Like, maybe make a move for the glove, or whether it was Pepper or Peter Parker or somebody that would feel the heart pang just a little bit more than the friends, even though it's pretty strong on them too. But
I think after everything they've been through and they've seen how those stones can corrupt people.
Yeah, I mean, there's that too. Sure.
It's
yeah, I don't know. In the whole world of comic bookiness, it felt a little done for the sake of being done, as opposed to, like, if we had more movies in the can to come, we obviously wouldn't have went that way. So
yeah, and the last person to make their exit, because they didn't die, they were still alive at the end, was Steve Rogers.
Good old Mr. Rogers, looking more like Mr. Rogers than ever.
Yes.
Sitting on that bench, singing that song. He was looking for a neighbor, you know. So Steve at the end gets to do one last world tour
Yes.
through time. He gets to be the guy
Who goes back and returns all the stones.
returns all the stones, puts them in their place,
Mm-hmm.
and then somehow, which doesn't make any sense, doesn't return on the pad. For dramatic effect, he's over on the bench already, like the whole time, just waiting for them to notice him.
Yeah.
So there's a break in story logic, but that's me.
Well, I think it's the kind of thing where like he's theoretically he doesn't show up there in the past until after he goes in.
Well, right, like I kind of get that, but my whole point was like you had to come and go via this launch pad area, and like he doesn't come back on the launch pad.
Yeah.
Because they want to do a dramatic reveal of him being over there on the bench with his back to us, so that we can do the reveal of him being old now. It's a little bit of a story bend.
Well, like the way Hulk explains it is like is that what he didn't stop, like he's in control of when he's going and he knows he has that 5-second window.
That's true.
And the way he says it is that Cap didn't stop. He just kept going.
Right.
So
that's true. Right.
So
he's off the grid.
So yeah, he just continued into the time stream and wheeled his way back to 1945.
And then just lived out the rest of his life as an old man off the grid.
Yeah, he married.
And just silently watched the Avengers do all their stuff on TV.
Yeah.
Lived under an assumed name so that no one would find him.
He finally met Peggy. They had their dance. And I'm sure she went home to him every night.
And after she passed away, which also changes the timeline.
No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't?
No.
So when Steve goes to visit her in her bed when she's dying, as a young Steve, she doesn't say, well, it's crazy. I have two of you right now. I have one at home waiting for me. You just missed him.
Hey. if anyone knows how to keep information classified, it's Peggy Carter.
That's true. I'm sure Steve would have... I'm sure returning a time bounce Steve would have said, look, I'm just gonna stay here with you, baby, and live out the rest of my years with you.
Yeah.
So you gotta have to keep that quiet.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna leave the house much. You're gonna have to do all the grocery shopping. I'm trying to keep a low profile. Maybe dye his hair brown for a couple of years or something like that. Or that kind of thing.
Well, also remember when we meet her in Civil War, she has dementia. Every time that she sees Steve, it's like she's seeing him again for the first time. So
maybe he's the cause of it. I bet you he's the cause of it. He comes and goes because he's bouncing through time, and like that's like his stop-off point. He's like, "Hey, baby, I'm home from work. I just, returned another gem."
No, this isn't that bad Rachel McAdams movie, all right? This isn't how Eric Bana sneaks back into the Marvel universe.
This is the problem when you do a time travel movie. All right, this is the problem. It doesn't all hold up. All right, I won't pick it apart.
So
but
she had a secret husband.
She had a secret husband the whole time.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Because she couldn't reveal the future. Even secret husband Steve wouldn't tell her, like, why and what for.
Well, it's the kind of thing where, like, if you remember her from Captain America, and also,
it's loose enough. You can insert it.
Yeah, if you remember her from the show.
Yeah. Anybody? No. From the show?
But it was from Marvel's Agent Carter.
Sure.
That was her deal. She was a spy. So it's like, okay, I know that you can't tell me anything.
Right. And conceivably, this is all after that era, kind of anyway, you could say. We don't know exactly what year he goes back to her. Like, when we see them dancing, we don't know if it's like he's been there for 10 years with her already, maybe, or who knows. You know what I mean? So, and that's all we really get is just a shot of him dancing with her.
That's all you need.
That's all you need. So, but old man Steve doesn't die on screen or anything.
Nope. He hands off the shield.
And they did that angle in the comics, where for a while Steve was old Steve, where the super soldier serum had gotten leached out of him, and he was like comparable to the age physically that he should be, and like kind of just became this guy who kind of like ran Shield, kind of slotted him into the Nick Fury type in the comics because he was too old for the field kind of thing. Although he would kind of run out there once in a while.
Yeah.
But for the most part, then eventually, like, they figure out a way to reverse it and bring, the Steve we love, sexy Steve, back.
Okay.
But before we move on, hey, that old Steve looked pretty good.
Yes, it did.
We were complimenting that on after we came out of the theater.
Yeah, Lola is the name of the company that does all those de-aging effects.
Mm-hmm.
And you had an old Steve.
Sure.
You had a young Howard Stark, John Slattery.
Yeah.
You had a young Hank Pym.
Yeah, Michael Douglas.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like we might be missing one. But I don't think so now.
No.
But it was a lot of. It's like, and it's a who's who of guest cameos. Since you mentioned
man.
Michael Douglas, some people who don't get a lot of screen time, but they get like a line of dialogue or two that's just enough.
Well, what's funny is there are people in the credits who I don't think got it. Like William Hurt gets a credit at the end. And
Did he?
I don't remember Thunderbolt Ross showing up anywhere.
Maybe he was in a different cut. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The fact that we even see Robert Redford.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that was another one.
Robert Redford for like
Yeah.
a minute and a half, 2 minutes was another great spot cameo.
Yeah.
Rene Russo, Natalie Portman.
Although I don't think she had a scene.
I don't really feel like she really did either, but
Yeah.
I could be wrong on that. That feels like it's straight lifted. Like
Yeah.
some of the shots are straight
Oh, no,
lifted.
no, you're right. You have her. She doesn't say anything, but it's the thing when she wakes up and Rocket is sneaking up behind her.
Right, but I
That's
feel
what
like
it
that
is.
could have been inserted to original footage,
It might have been.
or even footage that didn't get used. But I feel like there's a wake up scene from Dark World, maybe, like when she first the Dark World, when she first goes to Asgard. I think that's a scene, right? Like she wakes up there and she's like, "Oh shit, what's?"
Yeah, yeah. She wakes up. That's where she meets Frigga.
Don't call her that.
It's her name.
Oh, okay. No, I know. Frigga what? Frigga what? Frigga dead. No.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
yeah. So it's really like a who's who, which is great. People pop up. Some people are only at the funeral. So like
Yes.
Marissa Tomei and Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer. Yeah.
Yeah, they're just solemn. They're just there to be solemn.
Mm-hmm.
But they flew in. It was
Yeah.
nice of them to fly in
Yeah.
for the wake.
Yeah, and there's one guy who's in the back there.
All right, this is
behind
the one
Guardians.
that even Ed needs help with, and I was like, who is this kid? So they do this cool thing where, like, at the wake, all the heroes are kind of clustered together in small little subgroups, and the camera kind of winds between these little groups of people as they're standing there. And then there's just this one young man, maybe early 20s.
Yeah, he's like a tall, kind of lanky guy.
And we couldn't place him.
He's got that like real like Timothy Chalamet heartthrob douchebag vibe to him.
I mean, could that be somebody because he was a kid earlier has now grown and we don't recognize him? Could that be the kid from Iron Man 3? Now that I'm thinking about it.
No, he looks nothing like him.
Yeah.
No. That kid.
But I mean, that happens a lot too. Sometimes people do grow and then they kind of
but
very
that kid was blonde. And no. I mean,
I don't know, man. I feel like it'll take some legwork to kind of pull up who that kid is. But
yeah, maybe it's the actor who's playing Shang-Chi.
no, they got another white guy to play an Asian. No, I don't think that's happening anytime soon. So all right, so that's kind of like some of the lingering stuff maybe we have. I'm sure we have some more, but that fucking kid at the funeral.
Yeah. That's some. There's gonna be an article.
I'm
That's definitely a bleeding cool article. It's gonna be like, who is this? You're gonna find out. It's like the Russo's nephew or something like that.
Yeah. Or I know what's going to happen. We're going to figure out that, it's who it is, find out who it is, and it's going to be a thing. Oh, we should have known.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So.
Kobe Smulders. That was another one. I don't remember seeing her. I don't even think I saw her at the funeral.
No, but we did get a little bit of, we got Nick Fury for a hot second.
Yeah, Nick Fury, yeah.
With a goatee, with a nice bushy goatee.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, loopholes.
Sure. Let's hit him.
The one you mentioned with, the fact that Gamora and Nebula, well, also all of Thanos,
Yeah.
they don't go back to 2014.
Yeah.
So
that's another thing. Because that's the thing. If you didn't tell me the time that the crystals were so important, I keep calling them crystals, the power gems.
Stones.
Gems.
This movie, there's stones.
Fuck them. I'm going to call them anything I want at this point. Rocks.
Yeah.
The magic rocks. If the magic rocks had to go back, everything that got plucked out of a time stream should have had to have gone back. You know, right? But you're right. Yeah, Thanos too.
Yeah.
So that should have reset the whole timeline then, if anything. I know it's based on movie logic, but
Yeah. The other thing
mhm.
that I keep griping about is the reason that Tony and Steve go back to New Jersey, 1970,
Right.
to pick up is because they have to get the Tesseract. Because when Tony and Scott tried to steal it, it got knocked over, the briefcase got opened, and then Loki picked it up and disappeared.
Right.
And that loop has not been closed.
Yes. That's
So-
another like hard deviation inside of a timeline. Yeah.
Yes.
So the question is, if sure, Steve returns to the 70s and puts it back.
Yeah.
Now, when Loki steals that in Avengers, it's just a shield experiment that he walks in on, right?
Yeah.
That's Lessig doing the experiment.
Yeah. Yes.
and
yeah.
not Lessig. I
Yes.
forget what his name is.
Selvig.
Selvig.
Selvig's doing the experiment while Hawkeye's watching.
Right.
Then he takes it and uses it.
Right. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, maybe if we go back and watch Avengers, we can find the.
Well, no, because like basically after that point, after they've captured Loki, the next time that you see them is when they're meeting like at like Riverside Park.
Oh, at the very end.
At the
Coda
very
scene.
end, yeah, where Thor and Loki just basically,
He's got Loki in cuffs and the muzzle is still on.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then he twists that little like looks like the thing he used to use at Banks for the drive-through.
So maybe some of these things were kind of like left in place to be. Like, because I feel like that one itself is a pretty, like, people should be pegging that one out.
Now-
the Loki one.
Yeah, now Loki's still, it's still the same guy who gives the Tesseract to Thanos. So, it maybe changed Thor: The Dark World a little bit.
Maybe this is the nature of, Loki's going to get his own show on Disney Plus.
Yeah, maybe that's
Could
the
this be a
opening.
backdoor somehow to that?
Okay, so this is something. Okay, so if we're gonna transition now,
Okay.
so things to look forward to.
Okay.
So what we know is coming out of this now
Right.
is we have a Black Widow solo movie, which we
Right.
could be pretty sure is probably going to be a prequel.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have in 3 months, almost 2 months, we have Spider-Man: Far From Home,
Right.
which is the last movie that's like slated. Like that's the only other movie that they have in the can. They haven't filmed anything else yet.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Nothing else has been shooting.
Yeah. So Spider-Man: Far From Home, which is also going to be weird because where does that take place?
Well,
And
it's
where's his entire class snapped away? Does he
the
have-
whole. There had better
like
be at
what
least
if MJ was 5 years older now?
the whole thing should at very least be a lot of conversation about
Yeah.
like
Yeah, I mean we
the
see him.
post snap world. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think
And that's the other thing, right? If it's been 5 years since the snap, he's too old to go back to high school.
no.
He's still the same age.
He's still the same age.
He's still the
because
same
everyone
age.
who was snapped came back exactly as they were when the snap happened.
But everybody that he was friends with, right.
Yeah.
MJ should be 5 years older.
Yeah.
His buddy, his right hand man, should be 5 years older.
Well,
And-
if they weren't snapped, so we see him meet up with
True,
Ned
true,
at
true,
that high
true,
school.
true.
So the assumption is
I don't think we know if Ned was snapped. Right. Okay.
yeah. So the assumption was we think okay Ned was snapped and was brought back.
Okay.
You know,
All right, yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
I'm saying
That's
like
the
so
safe
does that
way.
mean like Flash and and MJ
Everybody he knew.
and
Yeah.
who's the blonde chick who's the TV host? Is that Betty?
Yeah, Betty Brant, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody who was a tangential character, there better be at least one person, like who was around.
Yeah.
Make it Flash. Because that's a character growth thing of some kind. To somehow Flash because he lost all these people that he was like trying to
Yeah.
be friends with, but could never really land it.
Unless like none of the trailers. Imagine like Far From Home is the one where all the trailers are bullshit. Like
Oh,
those
that'd be
stuff from
great.
Avengers is actually spot on.
Right.
The Endgame is spot on. But those trailers we put out for Far From Home are complete fabrications.
I don't think Sony could handle it. I don't think Sony. They're like, but that'd be too complex for them. But what are we? But so we're gonna fuck with people? No.
Unless they say straight up that this is before Endgame, and they fold it
Yeah,
into
I
Phase
think
3.
the idea is it's supposed to be post though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the implications but we don't know for sure. Fair enough. Yeah, it's true.
I will say,
Yeah.
in all the interviews from a year ago,
Right.
Kevin Feige talked about how Spider-Man Far From Home was going to be, this is what Marvel movies are going to be from now on. This is the start of a new chapter.
Right.
And in a recent interview this week said, well,
Well-
actually, it's the end of Phase 3.
Right.
Like, that's...
Yeah.
It's like that thing they pulled with Ant-Man, where Ant-Man's after Age of Ultron, but it's still Phase 2. Like,
These
that's-
movies that have come in that weren't part of the original plan,
Yeah.
they like become the end things. It's like, oh yeah, that can play.
Yeah.
He's batting cleanup, you know.
So,
But all right.
okay.
So what were we on here now? What were we doing?
So Far From Home, that's the only movie.
Mhm.
Now on Disney Plus, we have
Right, okay.
3 shows.
Mhm.
We have Winter Soldier and Falcon,
Right,
which
is
we now know is actually Winter Soldier and Captain America.
Yeah, Falcap.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
We have Hawkeye is
Yeah.
getting his own series.
Yeah. Hawkeye and the Fam.
Yeah.
Which they should just make that like a shot on a set sitcom. You know? Like it's just like I don't get these kids, man.
Yeah,
Like, you know.
it's a modern day version of Little House on the Prairie. Is that...
That's even better. But it's really like, oh, you know what it is? You ever see 1800 House?
Yes.
So
yes.
it's like that.
Yes.
But the kids are like millennials, like they've touched the real world too much. So you know how in like 1800 House, where it's all supposed to be like living like the 1800s, like there's this one girl who like manages to sneak makeup in, and then she goes off in the woods and just kind of plays with her makeup by herself and shit, and then like these kids are trying to sneak cell phone signals and shit.
I remember watching 1900 House once, and like they have all these experts who mail them in. Oh, this was a recipe that they used for shampoo back then.
Right.
The woman tries it, and her hair starts falling out.
Yeah. Like no. There's a reason. But yeah. So if Hawkeye gets his own show, it's kind of a weird dynamic now because it's like, are we gonna see the family? Is it going to be about that? Is it going to... Obviously, they're not going to do the Matt Fraction stuff where he's single, living in an apartment building, which is like quirky side characters and a dog and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a thing maybe like...
Oh, this is going to be how he becomes Ronin?
Well, yeah, or during the Ronin period, like, during his time without people, like living in some crazy apartment, and we would just kind of like see that for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but obviously, when he's Ronin, there's no levity at
No,
all.
no,
And the Matt Fraction stuff has got like this quirky kind of levity that goes on inside.
That's true. Yeah. So yet another year without Pizza Dog.
Yeah. Damn it. It's never gonna happen.
No.
But they're probably gonna like people are like, oh my god, they're gonna do the Kate Bishop kind of thing with his daughter. Kate Bishop is a character from the comics who kind of becomes takes on the mantle of Hawkeye at a certain point, and is a fan favorite.
Okay.
And so while they're obviously not doing Kate Bishop, he's teaching his daughter how to shoot a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
And I would presume that once his family comes back, he's going to be like really obsessed with them. And like teenage kids, the last thing they want is a dad up their ass. Like, and he's going to be like really, it would be funny to have him be like really super attached to them all now.
Oh my god.
Like too clingy. Like, Dad, please just fucking leave.
I am horrible. I'm sorry.
Why?
I'm sorry.
What do you got? What'd you think?
No, you said no one wants a dad up their ass. For some reason,
you're right. Yeah,
that
that's
was
poor
an
turn of
incest
phrase.
joke.
Poor turn of phrase.
Oh
But
man.
as much as it's true, nobody. I mean, you could have a dad, but you don't want your dad.
Can we start over?
Well, we could definitely move on.
But okay, so there's the Hawkeye show.
Yes,
Then we have WandaVision,
which is a weird name.
which is Scarlet Witch and Vision, who at this point is still dead.
Still not a sign, not
Yeah.
a shred of anything with Vision. And not only that, but like, the gem that they used went back to the timeline. So, okay, I guess.
Now they still have his carcass.
Oh, I'm sure that's
Yeah.
sitting somewhere. Yeah.
And Shuri was the one who was working on him, so maybe
Yeah.
she still has some some stuff in in her Wakandan database that may be able to help Wanda rebuild Vision.
Well,
but,
what would be interesting is to have Vision come back and not be as humanistic as he was in the movies because he doesn't have the the stone.
yes,
Because I feel like that's a thing in the comics that was going on for quite a while, and still, like, he's not as humanistic as he is in the movies. He's much colder and more like Data from Star Trek.
yeah,
Or even flatter and colder than Data.
he's like Red Tornado in DC.
If you want to use an obscure reference, sure.
It's all comics.
It's all 1940s comics. I mean, come on.
Hey, Red Tornado. Well, the Red Tornado I'm thinking of was the '60s.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, the Red Tornado in the '40s was just a woman with a
Haircut.
with a pot on her head. She took like a steel pot.
Right. Yes. You could do anything in the 40s. And kids would love it. But yeah, so like, what is that show going to be? What is the setup on that going to be? Is it going to be Wanda's obsession with bringing him back?
Maybe.
I think that would be an interesting hook overall.
Yeah.
Like Wanda tries to bring him back. It's a little bit of Frankenstein-y, Pet Cemetery. Maybe not that harsh and horror, but that kind of an idea where it's like, you bring somebody back and it's not quite what you wanted at first.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of a thing. Or like in relationships, from what I understand, like if you date somebody like you used to date again, like you kind of broke up and a couple years go by and you guys are like, oh shit, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
And then like it rekindles and it's not quite the same.
Yeah.
And it becomes another thing. I don't know. But I do want it to be now in my head, I do want it to be something where like it's not easy.
Yeah.
I don't want it to become him come back and by episode 2, it's like, oh, he's exactly like he was in the movies and it's a straight pickup from where we were.
Yeah. No.
No. I want fucking pathos.
Yeah.
Damn it. I mean, if you're gonna go out of your way to get her to sign up for it and him,
Yeah.
you better go as deep and mature kind of sensibility as you can.
Yes. Now, next up, in terms of movies that
Yeah.
we've talked about,
Sure.
we've got Black Panther 2,
Yeah.
and Black Panther's back.
Mm-hmm.
We have a nice setup. Okoye played a part in this.
Yeah.
So she's out there. He's
Yeah.
out there.
Mm-hmm.
Shuri's back. So I think everything's pretty much settled that they could do a sequel.
Yeah, that doesn't
And
seem like
it
a
doesn't
hang-ups.
have to bounce too much off of this.
Mm-hmm.
Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Who seems like she's really busy.
Really busy.
Yeah. And the fact that that signal when she found out something was going on, that it took her that long to show up to.
Well, she was
catch up
pretty
with
far in deep space, and I think the thing is that even at flying at top speed without a wormhole,
Yeah.
it's going to take a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably like towing Tony Stark back.
Yeah.
Maybe you can't go full speed because the ship will break apart. Like her top speed might be too intense for a ship like that.
Yeah.
We'll just say.
We'll say.
But it was very convenient though in the first like 10 minutes to have her be like, "Hey,
Also,
popular spaceway." I guess it's a space highway. Like everybody just runs into each other.
I like that we didn't get that scene from the Captain Marvel tag. That we didn't get to see them, like her showing up and them and telling them who she is.
Right. They were talking about the pager.
Yeah.
Like you get the moment that you get that beat of Thor and her face to face, but you don't get the whole.
Well, remember that was a trailer.
Oh, that was in the trailer only.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Right. I'm
Yeah.
confusing it. Right. The sting from Captain Marvel was just Black Widow.
Yeah.
And
It was
Cap.
and War Machine.
Right.
Yeah. They were all.
Just kind of like, wow, man, pagers. Remember those? And they were like, yeah.
And then she shows up.
And Black Widow's like, nah, I'm young. I don't remember that shit.
Yeah.
And Cap was like, I wasn't around for it. It's a reference I don't get. He's like, Motorola, what?
Yeah.
But yeah, so she pops up pretty early on.
Yeah.
Saves 2 people. That was cool. I mean, it's kind of like expected, I guess, in this kind of thing. You got to bring them back somehow.
Well, like going forward, I think like it's a whole separate, and like that's also a character like what's going on with Wonder Woman right now. Like you could see what she was doing 10 years ago. Like you don't even have to bring her into the present if you don't want to.
No, yeah, well, that's what's cool about her. Like you can make
Yeah.
her movies just be, different time periods kind of thing.
Yeah. Then we have Guardians.
Yeah.
So Guardians 3, and at the end, looks like Thor's on the team.
Thorbowski.
Thor Bowski. So
Yeah.
I don't know if we're going to get a Thor 4.
Right.
Maybe we're just going to get a Thor Guardians team up.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the kind of like, well, Thor's done his 3,
Yeah.
you know, and so I think that's the way to go. I think he
Yeah.
fits in with that now. You know, this reworking of Thor where he's funnier than he was, it makes him a fit over there.
Yeah. And I think now we have I think the obvious setup,
Yeah.
and this might not happen, but the obvious setup for me is Thor and the Guardians are now on a mission to try to bring back Gamora.
Yeah, that
That's-
seems to be.
Yeah.
I don't know if, like, what Thor's storyline could be besides sit-ups.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? That kind of thing.
Well, he's looking for a purpose.
Well, that's
You know?
right. Well, that's
Yeah.
and that's fine and fair, and maybe that's what it is. You know what I mean? Maybe it is as Guardians of the Galaxy by the time it's done. You know what I mean? Because that is a title of a comic that Marvel's putting out now. Name dropped.
Maybe that's where Loki pops up.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Young Loki. When he's not at funerals.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, we have that, and I remember before all of this Mishigas happened with James Gunn, he said that 3 was going to be the end of Peter Quill and Rocket and those guys,
right.
and that Guardians 4 was meant to be a Ravagers movie,
Right.
and like Stallone and
Yeah.
Michael Rosenbaum and Michelle Yeoh and Ving Rhames and Miley Cyrus,
Sure.
that whole team.
That crew.
Yeah.
Well, then you have to bring a bunch of them in to help transition that in 3, I think. You can't just kind of flip it
Yeah.
outright. I mean, you could do that in comics and kind of get away with it. But
Yes.
movies, I don't know.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what they actually do in 3
Yeah.
and how if this delay of 3 kind of like maybe tweaks stuff. Stuff
Yeah.
gets kind of tweaked out from what original plans might have been. Because I do like the idea of the Guardians being a team that shifts and changes. You know, people come in, they come and go. It feels like a group like that, like how Avengers kind of is in the comics, or even Guardians is now in the comics.
Yeah.
Because Guardians is like long since started to transition. Peter Quill got his own book for a while, and then like he was off doing his own thing, trying to answer some of his own questions
Well-
about stuff. So like, there's a precedent in the comics to kind of say,
Yeah.
you know, we'll mix and match as we go.
Well, they were all created separately, right? And
And then they got brought together
Yeah.
for the relaunch, the rebranding of Guardians at a
'cause-
certain point.
because I think the original team of Guardians in the '60s
Mm-hmm.
was the Ravagers, like
Basically,
Starhawk and those guys.
Starhawk,
and it
Martin
was-
X.
And it was set like it was like Legion of Superheroes. It was like 1,000 years in the future.
Yeah, it was 1,000 years in the future. And the big selling point on that book was not them. It was just learning how like the Marvel universe had evolved over time. So like you got to meet Wolverine's great granddaughter and how like she was like this evil queen of mutants kind of character and shit like that. And you get to see there's all these weird jumped up fucking recontextualized
Okay.
offsprings of you know, these kinds of things.
Yes, and there are so I think that's all the beats of the current characters, the directions that they're going in.
Seems like it.
Yeah, and then there are 2 new properties that have not been introduced yet. One is Shang-Chi, Master of Kung Fu.
Yeah, well, not introduced in the movie.
Not introduced in the movie, but he's going to get his own movie.
Right.
And the other one is the Eternals.
Yeah. So for both of those, we saw no signs of those.
Or at least none that we know of.
None that we know of.
Unless...
Maybe that kid. We don't know. That kid. Maybe nobody saw him, and that's the thing. Like no one really acknowledged that kid at the funeral either. So maybe he was some kind of apparition or cloaked in a way. You know, that kid's gonna turn out to be something. Either we both go, oh, of course, right, or like it's like, oh shit.
There's got to be a deep dive.
Yeah, I'm sure there's gonna be like a who was this
Yeah.
kid at the funeral meme. There's gonna be a lot of that. I mean, if it's not a thing where we're just missing it,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's definitely going to be like, who the fuck is that kid? Um,
So, yeah, I think that's...
yeah, I think what's interesting, I think in a couple of ways, is that a couple of interesting moves were like it opened with a real kind of low lull, dour kind of scene. Hawkeye losing his kid and family and all that. And I thought they were only going to take the one kid, but they were like, no, we're taking the whole family. Um, and you know, I thought that was. I didn't think we were really going to start there, but I think it was a good way to kind of, um, you know, just set the stage for everything that came afterwards, which is like this whole idea of jumping forward 5 years,
Yeah.
and the whole planet has lived with this,
Mm-hmm.
and that it's you know, you can kind of feel it a little bit. You don't really get that in the comics so much sometimes, like when these big cataclysmic events go on. Like, how does this affect like the real people and stuff? And
Mm-hmm.
Cap's running a fucking support group and stuff like that. Like, there's really kind of like there's small humanistic moments.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We don't spend a lot with them, but they're enough of a reflection. It's like when when Scott sees the telephone pole and these little memorial types of things, like of people missing and stuff like that. Those are like the beats that, like, for some reason, comics kind of forget to do.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this
Yeah.
first hour,
Yeah,
like I really see them gunning for an Oscar now with this movie. Like, they're gonna try to pull a Return of the King. Like, this is a significant thing that deserves recognition. You know, that they're going for it, and that first hour to me is we're gonna give our actors as much clearance as we can for a nomination. Like, I could see that little 1 hour family drama
yeah,
maybe enough to get Downey something.
yeah.
You know?
I,
And it's the kind of thing where, like, it's a body of work where he's played this character for 10 years and it's been such a significant contribution to cinema that it can't be ignored. That,
Yeah.
you know?
well, that's the thing too. I think it's reached a point now where it's just like it's undeniable, you know. And these movies, they come now. The Marvel movies now, like, they hit on all cylinders so well.
Mhm.
I mean, like, a lot of headlines have been like, "This movie sticks the landing."
Yeah.
You know, the thing that we kind of like, oh boy, it's a lot to fucking make work,
Mhm.
but you know, god damn it, they did, and that equals out to a good movie that deserves some kind of kudos and nods. And
Yeah.
you know, I feel like if you're gonna, you know, nominate, you know, Black Panther and other things on the merits of their story and for no other reason, then this has got a lot going on too.
Yeah.
I will say that you know, it was nice to see Captain Marvel, like when she came in,
Mhm.
put a real good stomping on Thanos, but not even that was enough.
Yeah. When he punched her in the face and she doesn't flinch.
That was a good moment. Like, she doesn't even move at all.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, it's
his hand just bounces off her.
bounces off her,
Mhm.
but still manages to toss her a good fight. But the showstopper, the moment that got everybody
Oh.
super fucking jazzed and saw it coming soon as they started to set it up,
Yeah.
is Cap wielding Thor's hammer,
Yeah.
which was just fucking, like, so well done fucking visually.
Mhm.
You know, Cap's getting a beating.
Yeah. It's like no reason to hold back now.
No reason to hold back now. We've got this extra hammer
Yeah.
just floating around. No one's really doing anything with it.
Mhm.
And I guess Thor's taking a lump at that time, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Thor's taking a lumping,
Mhm.
and so we just kind of see the hammer sitting there, and it's like,
Yeah, you see it fly, and you don't know who's calling it,
right?
and then yeah. And I will say,
Mhm.
there's precedent for this.
Mhm.
In Age of Ultron, you have that moment where they're doing, you know, they're all
Everyone's
sitting around
trying.
drunk.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying, and you see it tilt just a
Oh
little,
man, so subtle.
just a little bit, and Thor just kind of sits up in his chair like,
Huh? What? And then, so
And you
the
realize-
payoff on this is that
Yeah.
when Thanos has Thor down on the ground,
Mhm.
and Steve comes in with it, Thor's like, I knew it. Like, you know, oh yeah. Like Thor's actually happy. Like,
Yeah.
you know? But yeah, I think I kind of feel like the hammer was upright, handle up,
Yes.
and then all of a sudden Steve's got it. But then we do see him call it too. Like he throws because he starts wielding it just as good as Thor.
Yes.
Which is an amazing thing.
Yeah. He starts doing
He's doing the wind up with
yeah.
it. He's calling lightning down.
Mm-hmm.
He's charging it up and launching it, calling it back. You know, he's using it to with the shield, like throwing the shield, smashing it back at Thanos for another shot. Like, you know, all this kind of like using both weapons at once in these combos. It was pretty good, but Steve still took a beating. Steve gets his shield cracked in half. But yeah, that's probably one of the bigger high points of the action stuff for sure.
Yeah.
It's got to be that sequence, right?
Oh, of course. Yes.
What else do we have for like really high point stuff like that? Do you think? Because you had
I think seeing Tony play with his kid, Tony and Morgan.
Yeah.
I thought that was a fun dynamic.
That was a surprise too.
Yeah,
that they actually had a kid.
When Scott meets Cassie all grown up, like that's a really tearful moment.
Yeah, yeah.
That's man.
It was kind of sad too, like when Hawkeye is going through time to test it out, ends up at his own house, and just misses seeing his daughter, like you know, but hears her, so knows that he's in the right place. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean Black Widow sacrificing herself.
Yeah.
Just that moment when you think like Cap's all alone and it's done for, and then you just see the orange circles start popping up.
Yeah, because that was the thing too. I was thinking, I was like, when Hawkeye's phone rings and he sees it's his daughter or his wife,
it's his wife, yeah,
and he's like, so he knows that, okay, it worked. Like everybody's back.
Yeah.
Our snap brought everybody back, but you don't really see any of these people, so you kind of forget about all of them for a little bit because you're so caught up with the action that when they do all start to come, you're like, oh shit, that's right, everybody's back. You know what I mean? And there was so many people coming in. I expected civilians to start rolling in through those doorways. I was like, are we just bringing like everybody who got snapped here?
It's gonna be like Spider-Man 2 on the train car.
Yeah. Well, I was just expecting like a big snap reunion. Yeah. It was almost like anybody who's been snapped is going to be here, Thanos, to help take you out. Civilians throwing garbage cans. But yeah, very much like the people were going to rise up.
Superman 2. Oh, I'm sorry. I just had a flashback to Superman 2.
All right, take it easy. Deep breaths. Deep breaths. Tony gets to use his own gauntlet at the end there with all the powers and stuff. They blow the fucking shit out of Avengers headquarters.
Yeah.
That gets lit up.
I thought for sure Scott Lang was dead.
Yeah, it seems like everybody probably should have been dead the way that got lit up.
Yeah. I thought for sure that he did not have enough time. That it was I think we did it and then boom.
Yeah. It was a little bit like low lit during all the fight stuff. It was a little hard to make out some stuff a little bit. It's definitely a reason to kind of go back to track some of that. It was some really cool shots when the big fight stuff was happening all over, and we kind of got to see everybody doing stuff.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the camera wasn't jumping around too much just yet, but then started to.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about Hulk. I mean, I like Hulk, Professor Hulk. I was telling you in the car. It's not quite the Professor Hulk I wanted from the comics. But then again, the Professor Hulk from the comics is a little bit more.
You were not going to get that without a Hulk solo movie.
No, that's fair. And that's fair.
Yeah.
And we've realized that too in the car, that like there's just no time for any of it. And things that make that work just were never established in the movies. But we got an aspect of it. Although the glasses he was wearing, as much as I liked him wearing them, there was just something about like it didn't feel right. Like I'm like, do you need glasses as the Hulk, or are you just wearing them for style? Are you just so fashion forward that you're like you got like the dummy frames where it's just like it's just glass. It's not really a prescription of any kind.
Well, I get the sense that he's merged himself.
Yeah,
and that's why like I think Professor Hulk is actually a little shorter.
Yeah. I don't think of it at all as a merge. I think it's merely rough. It's Banner controlling the Hulk. You know what I mean? There's no merge. I mean, Banner in the Hulk's body, I should say. Whereas there's no personality merge. He showed no signs of being impetuous or childlike or any of that.
Yeah.
You know? Whereas the merged Hulk in the comics does, because he's got a gray Hulk, he's got the green immature Hulk, and like the scientist Banner's consciousness running it, but he's merged personality wise. Like, so there's this manipulative kind of like manipulative genius that the gray Hulk ended up being, that's merged in there with some impatience of like the green Hulk, who's like a manifestation of younger childish impulses. And then like super smart Banner trying to balance it all.
And
so
there's a red Hulk in there somewhere, right?
That's Ross. That's Thunderbolt Ross.
I thought there was a different red Hulk.
No, there's a red Hulk who that Marvel plays it as a mystery in the comics for a long time, and eventually gets revealed that it's Thunderbolt Ross, that he went out of his way to try and be the match to stop the Hulk. But then all this other shit happens and kind of like waylays him from that.
Yeah.
And then Betty Ross becomes the Red She-Hulk for a while. So, kids, visit your local comic shops.
Yeah.
Call 1-800 Comic Book to find a shop near you.
Yeah, and then wait on Disney Plus. We better be getting that She-Hulk, that sensational She-Hulk TV show.
No, you want a procedural so bad. If CBS isn't doing it, no one's going to do it. So you got to see Doctor Strange in there. Not a lot with him.
No.
But he did have a key moment with Tony where he let him know this is the one.
Yeah.
And Tony was like, "Oh."
He's like, "Wait for it.
Wait.
Now."
Nah. I thought he was gonna do like a pull my finger thing, but yeah, I mean, I'm skimming through an article to remind myself of moments.
Tony meeting his dad again.
Yeah, which was interesting. Your thoughts on it? I mean,
I thought it was heartfelt. I was a little confused about, how Tony knew to go there if he hadn't been born yet. I thought it was going to be the kind of thing where, like, he went on like a field excursion with his dad.
Right. Well, I
remember
went
going
there.
to Jersey this one time.
And I had to wait in the car for hours.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have clearance. So you got to go in, Steve, because you've been inside, so you know what to look for. But yeah, it was definitely a thing where it was like, at first for me too, they had cleaned him up so well. I thought it was this other actor for a second.
Oh, okay.
That I don't know by name. But I was just like, oh. And then I was like, oh, it's fucking Slattery.
It's also like, do you age up Cooper or Dominic Cooper,
right?
Or do you age down Slattery?
Yeah. That's a good point too. Yeah.
Because that's like right at the midpoint.
Yeah. That in the timeline is right at the breaking point of that.
Yeah.
But it seems like no, they're just kind of like they've released Cooper from all responsibility. So yeah, I think outside of it being like amazing, we had a lot of fun with it. It was definitely fun. Paul Rudd gets some of the better lines.
Yeah.
Some of the best stuff. Just because that seems to be
and what's
the
amazing.
Default.
There's so much in there, and there's so many characters, and I think it blends so well. And I don't feel like anyone got cheated. I feel like they everyone had a purpose in the story. Even if it was just to show up for 10 seconds and throw in a one-liner at the end, like Wong did.
Right, like Wong, or even Rene Russo, who gets like just a hot second. I'll defend to my dying breath that.
Oh, that's something we didn't talk about was Thor's storyline.
Thorbowski.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
Thorbowski.
Yeah, the big Thorbowski.
If people, I mean, and it got more Thorbowski as it went. There's a part where they cut to him and he's sitting, and it's a dude reference.
Yeah.
He is supposed to be the dude. He's got sunglasses on. He's got this shitty hippie sweater.
Yeah, here's what I want to know.
Yeah.
And I would really respect Chris Hemsworth. Is that his gut?
Oh, could you imagine? No, never.
If he pulled a bail where like I ballooned up and then went down and no one noticed.
That would be funny. Yeah, but it was too much of a gut going on. But the best is like, before you get the full reveal of him, you see him from the back with no shirt on, and you can tell already, and you hear the tittering in the audience We saw it with a pretty active crowd too, but you hear the tittering of the audience because you kind of see like the love handles a little bit. So people are like, "Oh no, oh no!" And then he turns around and it's like, "Oh, bro, what'd you do?" But his arms are still pumped. His arms are still jacked. So he's sitting down all the time, but he's doing curls. You know, he's doing some free weights, I guess, to keep those arms pumped.
Yeah, and we got to see Korg.
Got to see Kolg.
Yes.
Very nice. Very nice. If you like that kind of thing, you know, if you like it, it's nice. It's okay. If you don't like it, that's okay too.
And Valkyrie, she came in at the battle, and she's the new queen of Asgard.
She's put in charge.
You know, I think now that sets up an interesting Valkyrie movie.
It does actually,
which is basically about being a mayor of a local town. You know, that's
full of possibly powered people, like godlings.
Yeah.
You know, the godling civilians of Asgard. That's a sitcom.
Yeah.
Of all those people trying to adapt into. Granted, they're like up in Norway or somewhere.
Yeah. What was it's like a Swedish, a Norwegian version of that HBO miniseries Oscar Isaac did about public housing in Westchester.
God. The council meetings are going to be very interesting from now on. That's for sure.
Yeah.
She just comes in on the horse. She's like full battle regalia to talk about zoning issues and fishery problems.
Yes.
How the Asgardians have like these crazy kind of fishery skills. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like their approach to fishing is very different than like legally allowed.
Okay, I just thought of someone we did not see.
Okay.
Who still is unaccounted for. Is Lady Sif.
Yeah, she's been off the grid for quite a while.
Yeah, she was not in Ragnarok.
Yeah.
The
last place she was seen was actually on Shield TV show.
Yes.
Because she pops up for an episode of that, I think in like season 2 or 3.
Yes.
And that was it. And like since then, she's like, well, if you're gonna make me be on the TV show, fuck this company.
Yeah. Well, she has her own show now.
That's right. She's on
Blind Spot.
Blind Spot's her show.
And I think that's why she wasn't in Ragnarok because they had a schedule because they killed the Warriors 3.
Right.
And I'm guessing they would have done that to Lady Sif.
Yeah. So, and if the fact that she doesn't show up in Ragnarok at all, now that you think about it, it's kind of like a thing where like, probably could have had something here, at least a little bit, but maybe she'll pop up on Loki's show.
Maybe.
In between work on the NBC show.
Or maybe she reappears in the Valkyrie movie. That's
oh shit! How about that? Right when all the ladies line up.
Yeah.
When all the ladies line up.
You had a little bit of that. You had Okoye and Shuri and
they had this one shot where it's like, well, we got it covered, and all of a sudden it's A Next, which was a comic book Marvel put out, which was just all the ladies of Avengers kind of like together.
Oh, okay.
And it's very much a bunch of them. Like the only ones that I'm missing is like She-Hulk, like you know what I mean. But it's very much like Captain Marvel, Wasp, and a few others. I can't remember the lineup off the top of my head, but it was very much a
Scarlet Witch. There was another one. Yeah,
very much a scene like that, which was very cool. Got a big reaction from the audience we saw it with, which was another cool scene. But yeah, I feel like we could go on forever.
So yeah,
with a lot of trying to figure out what else to talk about.
Yeah. Hope this helps people come down from the experience of seeing it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to say go see it because we've already established if you're listening to this, you've seen it.
Yeah. Right.
So,
but go see it again.
Yeah. Go see it again.
I mean, it's a 3-hour movie. If you start to fall asleep, you have to go see it.
Hey man, if you want to spend an entire day in a movie theater,
this is how you do it.
You have a triple feature right now. Of Captain Marvel, Avengers, Endgame, and Shazam.
You can't really.
Yeah. It could have been a quadruple feature, but Hellboy didn't last.
What a time to be alive, though, for a comic book fan.
Oh my God.
If you sprinkled like some other like non-superhero-y kind of like straight up comic book thing, like something a little bit more mainstreamy kind of story, like a Road to Perdition or something just like that kind of a thing, like some Jinx World or some kind of straightforward adaptation thing.
Yeah, and before people ask, I'm not saying if one is better than the other.
No,
I'm not.
Just saying that right now.
Yeah, they're complete.
There are 4 comic book movies. In theaters, basically.
Yeah, I think Hellboy's gone. I think it.
Well, Captain Marvel is probably phasing out because Marvel's got other movies in their theaters.
Yeah.
But Hellboy's definitely probably been squeezed out. That poor thing didn't really do as good as people were hoping. But yeah, what a time to be alive, right? So we could kind of, as we head out the gate here, we could still say that no end credit stuff.
Nope.
But
Well, you had
tell me what you thought of that.
okay. I think it says we're done. Like this is
Yeah.
like I'm almost would not be surprised if Spider-Man comes out and Feige says, "Yeah, no more movies for 5 years." Like if
What if it's like no more post-credit scenes?
well, I mean, it does seem like this is an end of an era.
Mm-hmm.
However,
Mm.
there is something at the end.
Yeah.
You do hear those hammers banging,
Yeah.
which sound a lot like the same sound effects when Tony was welding that armor together
Right.
in that cave in Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this is the start of something new. That they're in the workshop right now, doing some welding, and
Because it came up on the Marvel logo,
yes,
which I don't remember them showing at the very end either, like that. I might be wrong, but I don't remember the big red logo coming up like that.
Yeah, I think I've
Yeah.
seen that before.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you just get the sound of this hammer clanging,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like it's a weird thing, unless it's just homage, kind of like, oh, that's just more symbolic.
Yeah.
It's not really supposed to imply that there is somebody making Iron Man armor or anything like that. It's just kind of like a referential thing for the 10 years we've been here, harkening back to the first movie.
Yeah.
And okay.
Yeah.
Because if it's an actual like tease of a sort to an Iron Man, it's like, well, you just went all out of your way to kill the guy.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you teasing here with that?
Well, I mean, to me, it's a symbolic gesture, not so much that we're bringing back Iron Man.
Right, right.
I think more just that Marvel's going back to square one.
Right, sure.
And we're gonna build this up with different characters now. And
The
put them in
studio
different
is still at work.
ways. Yeah.
It's a way of them saying we are not stopping just because this 10 years is up.
Yes.
I will say with the end credits thing, for a split second there, I was thinking like, I wouldn't mind them getting away from the second end credit thing. The mid credit tease is still a good move, I think, to kind of tease out the next project. The end credit thing of how he's having a button for a goof or just a little bit more, they could phase out. Like, I don't think there's a reason to torture the movie theaters anymore with people lingering to the last possible second. Like, they can start to clean the theaters a little earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's fun is fun. I know.
Yeah.
But you're the kind of guy that sits through the credits anyway.
Well, yeah.
So you appreciate it in general.
I like to honor all the below the line people.
Hey,
you
man,
know?
I don't know about you, but you saw me doing it today. I sit there and I scan for anybody with my last name.
Yes.
Because I'm like, I like to pretend that's my cousin.
And we found out Pat Sweeney.
Pat Sweeney.
He was a gaffer on one of the location units.
Oh, man. Good job, Pat. Pat, we can't wait to see you at the reunion.
Way to keep your mouth shut.
Way to keep your mouth shut. Also can't wait to see William Sweeney, who worked on the Spawn cartoon show on HBO.
Oh, okay.
That was where I first got obsessed with doing that. I would notice his name in the credits every week, and I'd be like, should I tell people that that's me? Yeah. should I take a picture of it and tell people, look. So I think that's it.
All right.
I think that's it. I think we've kind of hit it. We've squeezed enough out of it.
Yeah.
I think we hit some of the big points, the high points. I'm sure somebody out there is screaming like, but what about this or what about that? And I'm sorry, it's just not coming to
Pepper
us.
in the costume. It was cool.
It
right?
was
Let's just
cool.
say
It was
yeah.
fucking badass.
Yeah.
And she wielded it as if she had been practicing and training for years.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Which is cool. I did like they said that, now that I think about it, that it was only 23 days Tony was up in the ship by himself, because that was a thing I was having a bone with. I'm like, how long has he been in space with no food?
Yeah.
Like, and then when he comes back, he looks kind of gaunt and
Oh,
shit.
he was emaciated.
Oh, they did good work on that. And that, I think, was digitized kind of like, because he looked kind of refreshed pretty soon after those 5 years were up,
Also, at the funeral, Happy Hogan is the one sitting with Morgan.
Yeah, right.
And just also because that actor directed the first Iron Man.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of real cool stuff going on there.
Yeah.
And did you do you remember the significance of the cheeseburgers line?
Not off the top of my head, no.
This is weird because it works on a couple of different levels.
Okay.
In the first Iron Man movie, when Tony gets back from Afghanistan and pulls up, and Pepper and Happy are waiting for him, he gets in the limo and says, okay, I'm calling a press conference, And but first I want cheeseburgers.
Right,
Give me
right.
cheeseburgers.
I need
And he
cheeseburgers.
shows up. He shows up with a bag of Burger King,
Gotcha.
and
Okay.
is just scarfing him down. That is also significant to Robert Downey Jr.
Okay.
because he had a lot of substance abuse problems
Right.
before he did the Iron Man movies.
Sure.
And he said at his low point, he knew he hit rock bottom when he was about to go to jail, and he was at this horrible moment at a Burger King eating cheeseburgers, going, "What the fuck am I doing with my life?"
That's why he
So,
had his existential crisis.
Yes, yeah, and for his big comeback as
Gotcha.
kind of like a way to
Like never forget
yes
kind of thing. Like
yeah.
the cheeseburger thing kind of comes up once in
Yeah.
a while.
So, his daughter says, "I want cheeseburgers," and Happy's just sitting there, "Hey, your dad liked cheeseburgers too.
Right.
I'm
Right.
gonna get you
right.
all the cheeseburgers."
But be careful, because if you find yourself eating cheeseburgers alone, kid, it means you're in a bad place. So that's the message to take home, kids. If you find yourself by yourself
Mhm.
at the BK,
Mhm.
maybe it's time to reevaluate.
Yeah. So yeah, sorry, we're ending.
We're ending for real this time. Please check out Ed and Sarah on the DC TV Report. Episodes drop every Sunday, so you have all day to listen to it.
Yes.
But don't worry, it's only like an hour and a half, depending. And I look forward to our next episode of the Wicked Theory Podcast whenever it comes around your way. We'll be happy to give it. You'll be happy to hear it, I hope. Check me out on the Comic Book Jones podcast, WCBJ Radio. Subscribe to it on your podcast app of choice and whatnot.
Oh, and we're both going to be guests on Gotham Lights.
That's
next
right.
week
That's right.
To
Almost
celebrate
forgot.
to celebrate the Gotham finale.
I did think of that earlier, and I got sidetracked. Yeah, we're going to help celebrate the end, the big send-off for Gotham.
Yes.
So look forward to that soon, too.
Yep.
If you're regularly following our antics over here.
Mhm.
And then, next guest who's going to be on here with me, I have no idea who it'll be.
Nope.
It'll probably be somebody you actually already know, and if not, you'll learn to love them.
Yeah.
And I think that's really going to take us out. I'll cue up the music, and we'll be stupid as we go. How about that?
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah.
Peace.
Anything else to say?
Live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper.
Mhm.
And I'll say something like, this was the end game, but it's not the end.
Be good to each other.
That's good. I like that. Be good to the good people.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, be crappy to everybody else.
Is that what Bill and Ted said? Or is it be cool to each other?
Be cool to each other.
Be cool to each other.
Yeah,
That's
there
right.
you go. Be cool.
Cool to each other.
And then, I know what I could do. You really can't hear it in the mix. Yeah, I can't really hear it in
Yeah.
the mix. My main music's too loud.
Mhm.
All right, good night. Goodbye.
Good night.
Thank you for listening.
Peace.
This has been an Avengers Endgame Spoiler Special. Hope you liked it. Good night, folks.